So if John was not in the car and he's not outside, he's in the house. This is crucial testimony, crucial for the jury.
You have no personal knowledge of when Ms. Reed had her last drink, correct?
Correct.
You did not see any person in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And you certainly did not see...
Wait. What was that pause? There was like a, she looked at the audience like, correct.
You said that Matt McCabe was driving, but before he got in the car, he realized he had forgotten his jacket and went back in, correct?
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law. Folks, today we are going to be doing not one, not two, not three, but 4 witnesses in one video. So without further ado, let's break them down. All of these witnesses have something to offer. We're just going to go to the absolute meat of their testimony, skipping everything else so that you have a nice, condensed, informative, and with my reactions, of course, video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go!
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
The Mass State Police Crime Lab you mentioned is an accredited forensic lab, correct?
That's correct.
That means that your lab has met specific internationally recognized standards for both quality and competence, correct?
There are aspects of quality and analyst competence that are addressed in the accreditation standards, yes.
It also means that your lab has demonstrated a commitment to best practices and to ensuring the reliability and accuracy of its forensic work, correct?
Yes.
And there are several requirements in order to become accredited, right?
Yes.
One of the most important requirements is an independent external review of your lab's quality management system, correct?
Yes, that's definitely one important component of the accreditation process.
That independent external review also evaluates your lab's technical systems, correct?
Yes.
And its procedures?
Yes.
And an external review means that experts from outside your lab come into your lab to review your work, right?
Yes, their review includes the procedures and the operating protocols, and there is some element of case file and specific work review.
Within your lab?
Correct.
And they make sure that you're following established and proper protocols, correct?
Yes.
You make sure, or you do your best to make sure that the lab is in compliance because you don't want to lose that accreditation status, correct?
Correct. It's important to ensure confidence in our results, to maintain the quality and maintain the accreditation.
Okay. In contrast to the accreditation standards for a forensic lab like yours, the standards for a hospital lab may be different, correct?
Correct. Typically, accrediting bodies for clinical chemistry or hospital systems are different accrediting bodies or different standards than forensic standards.
Okay. And a forensic lab exists for a different purpose than a hospital lab, is that right?
Correct. They have different customers and sort of different scope or intention for the use of their results.
Sure. A hospital lab tests and analyzes blood for its use in diagnosing medical illnesses and for medical purposes, correct?
That's consistent with my understanding, yes.
Sure. And it's not for meeting court admissibility standards like your lab, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
As you testify here today, you have no information that the lab at Good Samaritan Hospital is an accredited lab, correct?
Correct.
And in addition, Good
That's
Samaritan
very
Hospital
important because if the Good Samaritan Hospital lab is not accredited, well, then they can make mistakes. And it's okay because nobody cares. That's what that shows. That's very important for Karen because that's where her blood was tested.
External party in terms of its relationship to your lab, right?
Yes, and for that reason, the type of calculations that we performed based on medical records from Good Samaritan are outside of the scope of accreditation in the crime laboratory system.
Right. It has no relationship to your crime lab, the Good Samaritan lab, right?
Correct. The same policies and procedures are applied when our laboratory analyzes serum, or if we needed to do a retrograde extrapolation on testing that was performed internally that's covered by the scope of accreditation. But as you're mentioning, the testing was not performed in my laboratory. I don't have any direct knowledge or understanding of their QC procedures, of their accreditation requirements, or their testing procedures at all.
You anticipated my next question. So basically, you cannot personally vouch for the ethanol testing that was performed at Good Samaritan, correct?
That's accurate. The reliability of the results that my calculations were based on, my calculations are only as good as the numbers that I was provided.
At least she admits it. She admits the whole garbage in, garbage out. If I get faulty numbers, I'm going to give you a faulty result. You know what I mean? Wow, that an expert that actually is not a total sham. Interesting.
The same math that I did here, I would do to my own internal standard or my own internal testing, anything that I performed testing on in the lab myself. But the results that I started from, I don't have any direct knowledge on their accuracy or reliability.
Bingo. Boom. Now day 2. Let's see what she's got.
Ma'am, on Friday, you testified to this jury about the fact that the Mass State Police Crime Lab is accredited as a forensic lab, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you discussed the fact that as a forensic chemist 4, you help to ensure compliance with the lab's administrative policies, quality assurance, and control requirements, and making sure that you're complying with accreditation standards, correct?
Yes, that's one of my job duties and responsibilities.
You also acknowledge that in contrast to the accreditation standards of your forensic lab, the standards of a hospital lab may be different, correct?
I have no direct knowledge of what the standards at a hospital are, and so I can't say whether they're the same or if they're different. I'm just unfamiliar with them.
And you're unfamiliar with the standards at Good Samaritan Hospital, correct?
Correct. I have no direct knowledge of their accreditation status or requirements or body.
And you know that they were the ones to do the blood draw in this case, correct?
That's consistent with the medical records I had available for review prior to preparing my report.
And you cannot vouch for that ethanol testing, correct?
No, she can't.
Correct. I have no direct knowledge of the accuracy or reliability. My calculations are solely based on the results of the Good Samaritan lab.
For instance, you don't know how the arm was prepared when the blood was drawn?
Correct. I was not present, and I have no knowledge of the policies and procedures of blood draw at Good Samaritan Hospital.
You can't vouch for the tubes and vials that Good Samaritan uses?
Correct. I cannot.
You can't vouch for how Good Samaritan stores, preserves, and assures the integrity of its equipment, correct?
Correct. I have no direct knowledge of those topics.
At your lab, you do both a screening test and a confirmatory test, correct?
Yes, that's accurate.
In this case, your lab did not do any confirmatory testing, correct?
My lab did not have samples submitted for this individual to perform testing on.
You know of no confirmatory testing that was done by Good Samaritan, correct?
I don't know what their policies and procedures are, and if the results on the report were the results of confirmatory testing or otherwise.
You just have to assume the accuracy of the testing that they did do, correct?
And by the way, hospitals don't do confirmatory testing, and she knows it. She's trying to weasel out to give like the best Albert answer that she can to protect them. This is starting to become a theme, folks.
The results that were reported on the medical records provided to perform
It
calculations.
has been a theme for a while, but it's even more now.
And you cannot testify that the testing done at Good Samaritan meets your accreditation standards, correct?
Correct.
Your lab does whole blood testing, does it not?
If whole blood is submitted for a case, then we will test whole blood. If serum or plasma is the only available sample appropriate for testing, then we will proceed with testing on serum or plasma.
Whole blood testing leads to more accurate readings of the percentage of alcohol in somebody's blood, correct?
Correct. If you would like to know the percentage of alcohol in someone's blood, the best sample to test would be their blood.
Many hospitals, including Good Samaritan, use a different method of testing than whole blood testing, correct?
Yes.
Good Samaritan uses serum or plasma testing as opposed to whole blood testing.
I'm not familiar with their specific technique or methodology. I haven't undergone training for their methods, but it is my understanding that the type of sample used for their method is serum or plasma.
So a lab like Good Samaritan's, that in this case did serum or plasma testing, will therefore provide results of blood alcohol concentration that are higher than what the true blood alcohol concentrations are, correct?
The serum alcohol or plasma alcohol concentrations that they report on their medical records would be higher than the corresponding blood alcohol concentration. That's correct.
The conversion from serum to whole blood did not end the calculations that you needed to do in order to testify here today, correct?
Correct.
The conversion from serum to whole
Oh, by the way, before I forget, you guys, I spoke to Bradel over the weekend, of all people. He's a really solid dude. He's the one representing Turtle Boy in the witness intimidation case, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, last week it was denied his bail revocation hearing or whatever because he said something they didn't like. I mean, the Alberts, of course, and the Morrissey is their puppet. So Morrissey asked his lackeys to file a motion to revoke on Turtle Boy's bond, and Bradel gave a very, very passionate argument about First Amendment and how he's allowed to say it's not like a direct threat or something like that, you know. And anyway, it was the judge denied it, and it was good. Bradel did his job really well. And I'm also trying to get Bradel to represent Bao in his criminal trespass case. The trespass one, as I like to call him. I don't know if it's going to catch on or not, but the trespass one is what I'm calling Bao's case. And yeah, I'm getting ready to release something probably over the next few days, depending, time permitting, and we'll see how it goes and everything. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting week, folks. Very interesting week. So buckle up.
blood only translated what Ms. Reed's blood alcohol supposedly would have been, or was, I'm sorry, at the hospital at 9:08 a.m. on January 29th of 2022, correct?
Yes.
You were asked to try to find out what her blood alcohol level would have been 7 or 8 hours earlier, closer to midnight or sometime between midnight and 1 a.m., correct?
The time utilized for my calculations was 12:45 a.m.
So you started with the results that you obtained from your serum to whole blood conversion, right?
Yes.
Which was an imprecise calculation?
Yes.
Which was intending to cover the majority of population.
Or was it
and
imprecise?
It followed the policies and procedures of my laboratory.
What was the precise number then? Was there a precise number, or
No.
was it imprecise?
It was imprecise because you have to calculate.
The range?
It's a range.
I'm not talking about a range. I know that you'd like to say that. Was there a precise number, ma'am?
Yes or no? No. The answer is no.
The results of my report
Oh my
was
God.
not a single number.
There you go.
It is a range of numbers.
There you go.
Let's move on, Ms. Giannini.
Yes.
What do you mean
In this
move
case,
on?
you assume
The witness
that-
is not answering my question in the way that she needs to answer her question because that's the answer that not I'm looking for. It's the truth, Judge. Give me a moment.
Ms.
Jeez.
Reed's last drink was at 12:45 a.m., correct?
No. The calculation assumed for the maximum calculation that no alcohol had been consumed between 1.5 and 2 hours prior to that time interval start at 12:45 a.m.
Okay. And the test wasn't until 9:08 a.m.?
Yes.
The range that you came up with was 0.14 to 0.28%, correct?
That's
Yes.
insane.
0.14 to 0.28 grams percent.
And
Oh
that was
my
a very
God.
wide range, was
That's
it
a
not?
huge
certainly is.
margin.
0.28 is
Huge.
double 0.14.
Yep.
And that range is so wide because there are a lot of unknowns about the way each person individually processes alcohol, correct?
There's a lot of interpersonal differences. That's correct.
There are a lot of different factors that would impact somebody's blood alcohol content, correct?
Yes.
What somebody had to eat can impact their blood alcohol concentration, correct?
The
Yes.
contents of their stomach or what they'd had eaten recently does
How
not
they
impact
digest
the
it, how they-
rates
how
of
they process
elimination
it.
that I use for my calculation, but it can factor into the absorption part of the curve
Yep.
and can impact that maximum amount that's reached.
Okay. You have no personal knowledge of when Ms. Reed had her last drink, correct?
Correct.
Were you informed that Ms. Reed was upset after 12:45 a.m. when you were doing these calculations?
I don't believe so.
Did you know, were you informed that she went to John O'Keefe's house in Canton and was the only adult in the house at that time after 12:45?
Assisting.
Are you aware of what type of alcohol John O'Keefe had available in his house at that time?
Assisting.
Were you aware that she was waiting for John O'Keefe to come home, but he never did?
Assisting.
Do you have any personal knowledge of whether Ms. Reed poured herself a drink during the hours of 12:45 a.m. and 6 a.m. on January 29th of 2022?
No, I do not.
And by the way, when all those objects sustained, Yannetti knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that this is not admissible stuff. This is good lawyer work. You're talking to the jury. You don't care what the witness says, what the judge says, what the prosecutor says. You're like, jury, I have something to tell you.
Know whether she had more than one drink during those hours?
No, I do not.
Were you ever asked to determine the blood alcohol level of Brian Albert?
No.
Were you ever asked to determine the blood alcohol level of Brian Higgins?
Sustained.
Were you asked to determine the blood alcohol level of anyone except for Karen Reed in this case?
I'll allow that.
To the best of my knowledge, my only involvement with this case in my unit was the request to perform these calculations on this individual.
Thank you.
Bam! Oh, Ryan Nagel's back. Okay.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. You testified about having seen a black SUV before the vehicle that you were in entered Fairview Road at around midnight on January 29th of 2022, correct?
Correct, sir. Objection. That's not facts and evidence.
That's okay. The witness's answer is what matters. Is that right?
Yes.
Your friend Ricky D'Antonio was driving at that time?
D'Antano, sorry.
D'Antano?
Yes.
He was driving at the time?
Correct, sir.
Ricky doesn't drink, correct?
He does.
He wasn't drinking that night.
He may have had one or two.
But he appeared to be driving safely?
Yes, sir.
And you also had a chance to observe the black SUV at that time as it was facing you, correct?
Yes.
When you saw it on Cedar Crest, you didn't know who was driving it at that time, correct?
No, I couldn't see.
But your observations of the black SUV at that time were that whoever was driving it, that person appeared to be driving safely as well, correct?
Yeah, I would assume so, yes.
The black SUV appeared to be going at a safe speed.
Yes.
It appeared to be properly staying within its lane.
Yes, I would say, yeah.
Once the lights were flashed, there was nothing about the operation of that black SUV that told you that the driver appeared to be confused about what the flashing meant, correct?
Correct, sir.
The black SUV didn't hesitate at that time. It just proceeded onto Fairview in front of you, correct?
Correct, sir.
And it did so in a safe manner.
Correct, sir.
And the black SUV, in that sense, got ahead of Ricky's vehicle, correct?
Correct, sir.
And once you got to the Albert home, you noticed that the black SUV was parked outside the Albert home, correct?
Correct, sir.
And at that time, the snow had not yet started sticking to the pavement, correct?
Correct, sir.
You could see the pavement in both the driveway and the street.
Correct, sir.
You could also see the grass on the lawn.
Yeah, for the most part, yes.
The snow was only just starting to accumulate on the grass, correct?
Correct, sir.
And with that little snow on the ground, you saw no tire marks behind the SUV, correct?
No, sir.
In fact, you saw no tire marks in the street at all.
Correct, sir.
And, sir, it took a couple of minutes for Julie to come out after Ricky parked the F1.
Is it possible, another thought that popped into my head as you guys subscribe and go comment on what I'm about to say, is it possible that the Albert family, with the help of the McCabes, planned January 29th to be the strike day? Remember how Jennifer was like to Karen, like, you're coming with me, because they already had a plan in place. Again, this kind of goes back to the whole theory that it's premeditated rather than, oh, it just happened or whatever. Like the backstory of it was Higgins getting into an altercation with John over Karen. It's less about that and more that it was a hit to take out John O'Keefe for what he knew. And he knew too much, so they planned January 29th to be the day that they kill him because of the blizzard. They can use the blizzard to like dump the body and somehow finagle, you know, we'll come up with a story later of how it happened. Right now, let's focus on the fact that it's going to be a good day to die because there's a blizzard coming. The rabbit hole, folks, it's just getting deeper and deeper. back to the video.
150?
Yes.
When she did come out, you opened the door and you had a conversation with her while she stood between the door and the passenger compartment of the F-150. When she did come out, she approached the F-150, correct?
Correct, sir.
And you were in the passenger's compartment, right?
Correct, sir.
You opened up the passenger's door, correct?
Correct, sir.
And she you stayed in the vehicle, right?
Correct, I never left.
Because look at the timing. It's like there's a blizzard coming, and when the snow starts to pile, CF McCarthy's waterfall, whatever, they close down and everybody migrates over to the Albert House for the after party. And by the way, just the simple fact that they have an after party after going to the bar, like these are adult men and women. They're in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and they're still hanging out at the bar. Like, this is how low caliber, low brow these people are. I'm 37, and yeah, I don't drink, and I am celebrating 77 months of sobriety actually today. It's kind of surreal to say, and it's such a cool number too, 77 months. But anyway, even if I was a drinker, going to the bar at 37 doesn't even make sense. Like, I would maybe go to dinner and have like a glass of wine with dinner if I had been a drinker. But I'm not going to go hang out at the bar with my buddies because, well, my buddies are also different. You know, they're not going to go to the bar either. It's just these people are they're grunts. You know what I mean? They're the grunts of society. They're hardworking men and women, which is fine. I respect and love all blue collar employees, if you will. A lot of them work for me. A lot of them do amazing work for our country. But when they're involved in murder, I don't know. I kind of draw the line there. I'm not sure why. You know, they're going to need lawyers pretty soon. And if you need a lawyer, call us. 1-844-774-HURT. 1-844-774-HURT. Trial lawyers. That's what you need. You need a trial lawyer to help you with your injury case. Why? Because we get you more money. We're not afraid to put it in front of a jury. And insurance companies hate that. They hate it. All right, let's get back to Ryan Nagel.
And she came sort of into like the crook of the door and the passenger's compartment.
Yes, sir.
All right. And it was clear to you that your sister Julie seemed like she had had a few drinks, correct?
I mean, yeah, it was 12:30 in the morning, so yes.
And she called you for a ride, right?
Yes, she knew that Ricky was driving.
Right. There was a back and forth that you really felt was unnecessary, correct?
I wouldn't say it would be unnecessary. It's just a common question if we want to come in and have a drink.
You have testified in the past that Julie can be kind of a pain in the ass, correct?
I mean, all siblings can be, yeah.
In any case, Julie decides to go back inside and you decide to leave, correct?
Correct, sir.
Ricky did not speed up the street at that time.
No.
He just gradually pulled out.
Correct, sir.
His direction of travel took him right past the black SUV that was now in front of you, correct?
Correct, sir.
You were closest to the black SUV of the people that were in your vehicle as you passed it, correct?
Correct, sir, yes.
And you were closest to the driver's side of the black SUV, correct?
Correct, sir.
You noticed that the interior dome light was on, correct?
That is correct, sir.
That lit up the whole front compartment of the SUV, did it not?
Yes.
It lit up the driver's seat and the passenger's seat, correct?
All I could see was the driver at the time, sir.
Understood. But the light wasn't just shining just on the driver. It wasn't pointed at the driver.
I would say they were both lights that go down on both seats, correct? They were on.
Yes. Okay. So you could see both seats in the front driver's compartment.
I couldn't
correct?
see past the woman.
Well, you only saw one
I only
person.
saw a woman. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
No problem. It allowed you to see into that front compartment.
Yes.
All right. And you saw one person inside the car at that time.
Correct, sir.
It was a woman with long hair in the driver's seat, correct?
Correct, sir.
And she looked like she was alone.
Yes.
You didn't see anybody else in the SUV.
No, I did not, sir.
You certainly didn't see a 6'1" man in the SUV in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct, sir.
In fact, you saw that the passenger seat was empty.
Correct.
The woman in the passenger seat was staring straight ahead, correct?
Not in the passenger seat. She
I'm
was
sorry.
in the driver's seat.
Thank you for catching that. The woman in the driver's seat was staring straight ahead.
That is correct, sir.
You didn't see her lips moving as if she were talking, correct?
I wasn't looking for that.
you
Just happened to
didn't-
see a woman figure with her hands like this.
Okay. Facing straight.
Correct, sir.
You had no music on in Ricky's truck at that time, correct?
No, sir.
Ricky had turned the music down when Julie came out so that you could ask.
So if John was not in the car and he's not outside, he's in the house. This is crucial testimony, crucial for the jury, absolutely essential.
Speak to it, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And when you got close to that SUV while you were passing it, you didn't hear any arguing there, correct?
Correct.
You didn't hear any yelling, correct?
No, I did not.
You didn't hear any screaming?
No, I did not.
You heard no noises within that SUV at all?
No, I did not, sir.
Heather Maxon, Ryan Nagel's former girlfriend. Were they boyfriend-girlfriend in
morning,
the first trial?
Good morning.
I can't remember.
Before Ricky turned onto Fairview Road, you saw the SUV in front of Ricky's truck, facing it, taking a right-hand turn in front of you.
Let me know in the
correct?
comments
Correct.
below.
And at that point, you had an unobstructed, good look at the driver and the front passenger, correct?
Correct.
And you could see that there was a female driving and a male in the front passenger seat at that time.
At that time, yes.
Now, ultimately, Ricky's car took a left after the other SUV took a right, correct? And eventually, when you reached the house where Julie was, you saw that that SUV was in front of that house, parked now further down ahead of you, correct?
Correct.
And it took Julie a couple of minutes to come out of the house?
I'd say so, yeah.
Do you recall whether there was any conversation at that time between you, Ricky, and Ryan?
Possibly. I don't recall or remember what, but most likely, yes.
You don't remember whether you were participating in a conversation or what was discussed?
Not necessarily, no.
You had your cell phone with you that night?
I did.
Like many of us, is your cell phone something that you tend to check when you're bored or there's a break in a conversation or you're not actively engaged in a discussion?
For sure.
And while you were waiting for Julie to come out of the house, do you recall whether you were checking out any web page or Instagram or text message or app on your cell phone?
I don't recall.
Can you testify with certainty that you were not checking your cell phone during that period of time?
Not with certainty, no.
And so you can't say for sure how long, if you did check your cell phone, you would have been looking at it while waiting for Julie, correct?
Correct.
And no one's asked you
The hard
for your
swallow.
phone so that they can analyze what you were doing during that period of time outside 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
Such a dead giveaway.
All right. Well, you testified that you didn't see anybody get out of the SUV or approach the house, correct?
Correct.
You obviously don't know what did or didn't happen before you, Ricky, and Ryan arrived there, correct?
Correct.
While you were parked near the driveway, you weren't thinking that you had to watch the SUV every second in case you were later asked to describe what was going on with that vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And that SUV was the same vehicle that you recognized as previously having a female driving and a male in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And as far as you know, you didn't know either of them at that time?
No.
Fair
You
to
do
say that
now.
what they were doing was their business and you weren't particularly interested in what they were doing, correct?
Correct.
You were there to pick up your boyfriend's sister, correct?
Yes.
It was late and you were tired.
Very much so, yes.
You'd had a good amount to drink. Mm-hmm. You did not want to continue to drink and socialize, correct?
Correct.
Fair to say you were looking forward to ending the night at that point?
Yes.
And so you were more focused on hopefully getting Julie in the car so you could leave than anything that was going on in the SUV, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she has a boo-boo on her finger.
Then Julie came out, and it wasn't as simple as her just jumping in the vehicle and leaving, correct?
Correct.
There had to be a discussion,
Right.
right? And she came out to speak to the three of you for about 5 minutes or so,
I'd say.
like a back and forth about who's going where.
Yeah.
And when Ricky was pulling away, you looked over to the SUV and you saw that the interior light was lighting up the front compartment, correct?
Correct.
And it was then that you looked over and you saw a female in the driver's seat, correct?
Yes.
You did not see any person in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And you certainly did not see...
Wait. What was that pause? There was like she looked at the audience like, correct. What was that? I want to see that again.
Female in the driver's seat, correct?
Yes.
You did not see any person in the passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
And you certainly did not see a 6-foot-tall off-duty police officer in the SUV at any point on Fairview Road.
Correct.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything, Mr. Brennan?
She can't wait to go home.
When Ricky was speaking to Julie and you were in the back cabin of the truck, what direction were you facing?
I don't recall.
Were you paying attention to the conversation with Julie?
I was probably in and out of the conversation, yes.
Were you facing the direction of the house in the SUV, or were you facing the opposite direction?
I don't think I was facing the opposite.
When you were in the cabin of the car and Ricky was having a conversation with Julie, did you ever see anybody other than Julie come in or out of the house?
No.
No further questions, thank you.
She looked so panicked. I wonder if she's like, did I say something wrong? Did you see anybody go in and out of the house? Because John was already in the house. All right, who's next on the chopping block? I know we've got one more. Oh, Sarah Levinson, yes. Attended Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday.
Good morning, Ms. Levinson.
Good morning.
You've been longtime friends, as you've described, with Brian Albert Jr., going all the way back to high school.
Yes.
And that high school friendship has percolated into a friendship into adulthood.
Yes.
You obviously know much of the entire immediate family, Brian Albert Sr., his wife Nicole Albert, correct?
Yes.
You know his uncle Chris Albert.
Yes.
You're familiar with his wife, Julie Albert.
Yes.
Obviously, Brian Albert and his cousins. By the way, which cousins are they? Last names.
Do I know?
Right.
There's the Alberts, and then there's the Galvins, the Reardons, and the McCabes.
Okay. You indicated that you've been to the Albert home probably at 34 Fairview. That's the home I'm talking about.
Yes.
Probably you estimated at least 20 times, correct?
Over the years, yes.
Over the years. And you've known Brian Albert since high school. I mean, in the last 8, 10, 12 years, you've been to the house to and from.
Yes.
You've never met, or you had never met, going into January 29th, 2022. You had never met their dog, had you?
Their dog?
Their dog.
I'm not completely sure.
Didn't you testify about a year ago in another proceeding that although you had been to the Albert home many times, you had never actually met the dog?
If that's what it says I said, then yes.
Okay,
Is that because the dog was not really good with strangers?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know why you hadn't met Chloe? By the way, did you know the dog's name was Chloe?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why you hadn't met Chloe in all those trips to 34 Fairview?
No.
Just wasn't out and about among the folks that were in the house when you were there.
Yes.
Oh my God. I just had another thought. Chloe is not good with strangers because Brian Albert has been training her secretly to use as his personal attack dog in case he needs some sort of protection. Now that's a theory. Oh my God. She's not, all dogs are great with strangers, for the most part, let's be honest. Unless you are training the dog to be your own personal attack dog, and anybody who's not familia is dangerous, even including the McCabes. Maybe it's time to stop calling them the McAlberts and just calling them the Alberts and focus in, because the Mc actually turns out to be a distraction. The McCabes, yeah, they had their hand in it, clearly. But there's something specifically about the Albert family, and we need to zero in on Brian Albert and his progeny. What does Brian have? He's got something. Why are the nurses at Good Samaritan so scared that they're not even willing to testify in this case? I don't think they're even subpoenaed. Just a couple of doctors from Good Samaritan, and that's it.
When you left 34 Fairview, I want to follow up very briefly on a couple of things that you said just before Mr. Brennan sat down under question by him. When you left 34 Fairview to join Jen McCabe at her invitation to take you home, you left through the front door, correct?
Yes.
As opposed to the side door. It's a little confusing. The front door has the brick stoop and the stairs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the door that you normally would leave through, or did you normally leave through the side door, come and go through the side door? What was your more ready habit and practice?
Probably the side door.
Okay. When you left through that front door, there was nothing obstructing your view as you walked out, correct?
Correct.
You could see to the left, the driveway, you could see to the right, over toward the flagpole, nothing obstructing anything, correct?
Correct.
There was a light dusting of snow at that time when you left just after, what time was it? 12:45, 1?
Probably 1:30,
1:30.
1:45. Yeah.
Got it. So you leave at 1:30, there's still just a light dusting of snow on the ground?
Yes.
The yard is flat?
Yes.
You could see all the way out to the flagpole?
Yes.
You didn't notice anything unusual at that time when you looked out toward the flagpole walking out of that front door?
I didn't notice anything. I wasn't looking out at the flagpole, but yes.
You were looking in that direction. When you walk out of the door, obviously you're standing, walking out of the door toward the front yard, correct?
Correct. But as I stated, I was looking down at my shoes in front of me.
Okay. Obviously, then you have to, at some point, you have to look up to see where you're going. You have to turn left to go to the driveway. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then you walk over and walk parallel to the yard again to walk over to the car. Correct?
Yes.
And as soon as you walked out of the stoop, you had to figure out where the stairs were, so make sure you don't fall down the stairs, right?
Yes.
But you're still looking up, like normal, correct? At some point.
Most likely.
My question is, you didn't see anything unusual in the yard, did you?
No.
The front yard was at least relatively, I know it was dark out on Miss Levinson, it was relatively lit by the interior windows as well as lights on the outside of the house?
Yes.
Okay. You indicated that you did, in fact, get the ride home with Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe. Who brought up giving you a ride home? Is it Jen?
Yes.
Okay. And she also mentioned it, did she mention it in your presence to Julie as well?
About the ride home?
About the ride home?
Yes, in my presence.
Okay. You said that Matt McCabe was driving, but before he got in the car, he realized he had forgotten his jacket and went back in, correct?
Yes, I don't know if he had gotten in the car and then got out, or he just opened the door, but yes.
He was at the car, at least.
Yes.
So he had exited, by definition, he had to have exited, pardon me, the house through the front door, as you did, to go out to the car the first time?
Yes.
And then he got to the car, then realized he forgot his jacket, walked back toward the front door, went back in the main door?
Correct, yes.
You saw that?
Yes.
Then once he retrieved or fetched his jacket, he then walked back out that same front door, down the stoop, looking out over the lawn, and then over to the car, correct?
I didn't see him walk back out, but I mean, probably. I don't want to say yes for sure because I wasn't watching him at that point.
Understood. No reason to believe that he would have used a different door.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. You were contacted ultimately by law enforcement to provide an interview, correct?
Yes.
That was not until October of 2022. Is that right?
Yes.
A couple of quick questions about that. Nobody contacted you on January 30th, the day after the incident that you left the house, correct?
No.
And when I say nobody, I mean from law enforcement. Nobody contacted you the next week,
No.
the next month.
No.
It was 9 months later.
Yes.
When you were finally approached, who was it that conducted the interview?
State Trooper Michael Proctor.
Oh!
Did Mr. Proctor indicate to you why he waited 9 months to contact you?
Objection.
Let me ask you a different question.
It's a question for Trooper
Were you
Proctor.
confused
Former.
about the fact that you weren't contacted?
Disgraced.
Objection. May we approach?
How is he going to get the question? How is he going to get the answer out? I'm curious. This is very important.
May I go?
Yes.
Don't forget to
Thank
subscribe.
you. When you were finally interviewed, let me ask you a different question. When you were ultimately interviewed in October of 2022, was that telephonically or was that in person?
In person.
Were you alone or was there anybody else with you?
I was alone. You mean like besides the troopers?
Besides the troopers.
Yeah, I was alone.
And had you prepared for that interview with any person or persons before that interview?
No.
Had you spoken to anybody, Julie or anybody else, about the potential for being interviewed?
I believe Julie called me to tell me.
If I may, don't tell me what was said. Did you speak with Julie before the interview?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
And one more question.
Oh.
Without telling me any of the words that were used, was the subject matter the interview? In other words, I'm not asking if you talked to Julie about going and getting the dry cleaning picked up or something like that. Did you talk about the subject of the interview with Julie before you were interviewed?
Somewhat.
Okay. That's all I know.
Why were you so hesitant? Why were you so hesitant? Yeah, somewhat, sure. Rather than just saying, yes, I did. Well, we know why. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. This was definitely a fun one to make because all of these witnesses have just enough to offer. We're like, making one standalone video just doesn't make any sense for each of them, so I just lumped them all together. And yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to continue tomorrow with more Ian Whiffen and, of course, Buchanan. We got to do Buchanan. There's going to be a lot of Buchanan videos. Or should I say Proctor Jr.? You'll see what I mean tomorrow. Bye, everybody.